January, February time, prior to COVID here in Canada, earlier elsewhere in the world, it was an employees market. Mm-hmm. Now it's an employers market because they've got candidates galore to choose from. So you need to make yourself competitive.
Okay, folks, it's the Reid Method Insider Podcast. This is episode 73 of the show. And this is always the fun time when we're getting started with all the technology that's involved in, me and technology. So here we go without further delay. Tonight, it's episode 73, and we're going to discuss how to market and sell yourself to future employers with an absolute global expert today. And so much so, this man has worked with me in the past. So it's a privilege to have met him previously and to have him back on the show. So here we go. As a globally acclaimed executive career coach and executive resume writer, our returning guest has helped thousands of individuals across the world, and literally across the world, folks, manage their careers, climb the corporate ladder, and land the jobs they deserve. He had been a subject matter expert in nurturing the careers of EMBA candidates and alumni, ambitious professionals, mining executives, and the C-suite community in over 74 countries since 1993. And we were just talking about some countries he's visited just in the last year. Just blows my mind. After a distinguished law enforcement career, specifically with the renowned London Metropolitan Police and the famous Scotland Yard, he retired and started Elite Resumes. He enjoys helping young clients in all functions advance their careers. Working with EMBA and MBA programs inspired him to launch Embrace Career Coach Network, a platform of tools catering to graduates and candidates anywhere in the world. By March 2020, he has worked with over 2,100 EMBA graduates and candidates from a variety of business schools. And in 2015, his intentional reputation attracted attention from the Association of Executive Search Consultants, where he served as an executive resume writer and career coach to global executives. This resume, it was so long, folks. There's so much in there. Last thing, he's earned 20 plus certifications, including Master Resume Writer, Certified Social Media Career Strategist, Personal Branding Strategist, and among many more accomplishments. And I'm very privileged to have back on the Reid Method Insider tonight for episode 73, Mr. Martin Buckland.
Thank you, Everold. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, I'm sitting here in my house in Horseshoe Valley, a little bit frustrated that, as we discussed a few minutes ago, I'm not traveling. I was due to be in Colombia today, Bogota, and Tahiti last week, but I'm sitting here in my lounge.
Well, not so bad to be in up north in northern Ontario either, my friend.
No, it's beautiful up here. Very beautiful. Yeah.
You were talking about all those places that you would have been in. And when we're talking about global, you're talking about, tell us share with the audience, some of the more, interesting places that you've actually been to.
Well, the bulk of my base, my client base is London, Frankfurt, Zurich, Hong Kong, and Singapore, as well as here in Canada and New York. But I'm very lucky. I go to Dubai a lot. I go to the Middle East quite a bit. I travel Europe. I'm always on the plane. I have a London office, so I'm always on the plane to London, just like I commute to London. And I used to flying. I come from an airline family, and I love flying. So it's nothing extraordinary to me. I've had clients from all over the world. Every client is interesting. I have to, as a professional, be aware of their cultural diversity and the way they sell themselves, because we're coming on to this topic. I know people from Asia and the Middle East to a certain degree cannot sell themselves. They're very humble.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good to be humble when you're selling yourself. You're a product. Yeah. So it's interesting working with people of different cultures and steering them into a sales mode.
Well, it's very necessary. And I love the subject because I actually did not share this with you. And it just dawned on me when I was doing the research for this episode. I actually created a course on selling yourself in any meeting or selling yourself in public because it became so necessary as I was traveling as well and doing my lease training, my sales mindset training to not just universities and colleges, but to all the dealers and companies across North America. And, one of them said, well, can we talk about how to sell ourselves? So I literally created a course on that and delivered it. So this is so important, and it's becoming increasingly relevant today in our business because, as we will talk about in the show today, is and I'm sure you share with the audience why this is becoming such a big deal.
Sure,
especially with our present economic situation and the pandemic situation and how this is affecting lives. And this is what it ultimately comes down to, is how we can help to improve our lives and to improve the lives of others. So, Martin, why do you think, number one, I'll ask you first, why do you think this is such a relevant subject right now?
Well, this is my third recession I've worked through. And this is not, in my perspective, the worst. I believe the 2007, 2008 recession was worse. But I think we've just, from my network, I network with the C-suite across the world and economic professors and people of very learned people. I think we've still got a long way to go. And heaven forbid if we have COVID too, that's going to be really disastrous on everybody. We've already touched everybody anyway.
Yes.
And it's going to touch even more. So careers are very, very important. You take your career home to your family life, and your career finances your house, finances your car, finances your kids' schooling, your investments, your cottage or whatever. And there's a lot of hurt out there right now. And people don't manage their careers. They think they're totally ignorant about managing their careers. And then, of course, when they've been terminated, and they watch me on social media, and I've got an extensive presence on social media. I'm pretty fearless on social media, all platforms.
Yes.
They say, oh, my gosh, I've been watching you, but I've never taken any notice of it. And now I'm in career transition, and now I'm panicking, and now I need my resume. Now I need my LinkedIn profile, and now I need to get my show on the road because I want to get a job like just tomorrow. Well, people aren't going to hire desperate people. You can show it to your coach like me, but don't show it to anybody else. But yeah, I think we've still got a long way to go in this. I hope I'm wrong, but you never know. I think we've still got a long way to go in this recession. I think it's going to dig deeper, and there's going to be a lot more unemployed. So you are in a competition, even more so. It was a January, February time prior to COVID here in Canada. Earlier elsewhere in the world, it was an employees market. Mm-hmm. Now it's an employers market because they've got candidates galore to choose from. So you need to make yourself competitive.
No, that's vital. So how do you market and sell yourself to future employees? So now that we've identified what the issue is and what we're probably going to be dealing with for the foreseeable future, and it's an employer's market because there's so many people out there that with the highest of qualifications that they can choose from. How do you then set yourself up to be able to market yourself to these employees? It's no different than the real estate market when it's a buyer's market or a seller's market.
Sure. Well, it's a psychological thing initially. You have to come into tune with, okay, I'm now in career transition. I need to alter my mindset because I am a product and I'm sending that product to the market. So the package is your resume and your LinkedIn profile and other social media platforms, your personal brand. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But so you need to think of, I'm going to send myself to the market. Now, for introverts and certain disciplines like human resources, believe it or not, finance, engineers, who are more introverted and less inclined to sell themselves and talk about themselves. That's important. Talk about it. You have a value. Everybody has a value. Just like everything when we go into the shops, everything is priced. Everything on the shelf is priced. And you are priced. What is your value? Don't undersell yourself either. In a recession, it is actually okay to move laterally or maybe take a step down a little bit, because everybody's going to remember this recession for many, many years. Hiring authorities in another 10, 15 years are going to know, 2020 was a recession. So it's okay. But in a good time, you can go laterally or you should go up. But so we're a product, and the package is that resume, and a resume today is just as important as it was when I first started writing resumes 26 years ago. And they've changed a lot. They're not responsibility based. They're now performance based. You're going to be hired because you can make the money. Simple as that. How much money can you make me if you're a sales guy? Sales guys, ironically, and you'll find this very funny, sales guys are the world's worst resume writers.
Yes, that's why you had to do mine.
Yeah, I mean, I see, this is classic. I see so many sales resumes without any sales statistics in there, whether that be the currency of the country, pounds, euro, dollars, or wherever, or percentiles. I see zip. Well, I'm not going to hire somebody who can't tell me how much they sell or what percent market share they capture or what profit there's various ways to skin the cat when you're doing sales statistics, as you will know. Yep. In your case, it's volumes of vehicle units and things like that. But yeah, sales, marketing, and human resources are the three world's worst resume writers.
Wow. Sales, marketing, and human resources.
Yeah. It goes beyond whatever we think. Yeah.
So do you think human resources and engineers just think their fancy resumes with all the designations will sell them instead of being able to actually articulate and market themselves?
I think so. Yeah, human resources live off their reputation. Oh, nobody's going to touch me, or I'm good in what I do. And human resources are normally not in this so much in this recession. This is an interesting phenomena in this recession. So human resources and finance are normally in recessions always the first one to be chopped because they're non-revenue generating. But I haven't seen so many finance and human resource exits yet, but I think they will come.
Yeah, it's probably a little early, and I hope it doesn't happen, and we can recover it, sure, with some decent time frame. Right. So how is this approach of taking yourself to the market, identifying that you're a product and you have to get yourself polished up to take yourself to the job market, how does this approach different from a few months ago? I mean, obviously pre-COVID. What were we doing a few months ago that we should do differently now?
Well, the processes remain the same. The job search process, you just need to be more overt and more aggressive in your job search. I mean, one of my many certifications is I teach people how to do job search. And here in Canada, only 8 to 9% of jobs are advertised. In the US, it's something like 19%, and Europe is about the mid-20s. But you need to go and uncover those hidden jobs, even more so, because every job on Workopolis, Monster, Indeed, Aluta, Career Builder, all the job boards, there's probably right now 2,500 applying for each job.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're in a competition with 2,500, 2,499 other people, but you need to go and hunt those hidden jobs and then market yourself. So networking, networking, unfortunately, we're not allowed to, networking, shaking hands, because I'm a great believer in shaking hands. And
Yeah.
I know all the different methods of shaking hands with different cultures. And
which is important too. I think we did talk about that in the last episode.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Very important, yeah. So you have to know, and you even have to know how to hand your business card different ways.
Yes.
In the Eastern cultures, you hand it like this. You don't hand it like that. And then networking is an art in itself, and I love networking, and that's one of the things I miss about not being able to get out and networking. I like helping others and sharing my knowledge. That's why I'm on this show, because I have a wealth of knowledge that I want to share, because it's valuable to everybody, particularly right now.
Right now.
Even more so right now.
So tell me, you just mentioned an interesting statistic there about the job search or availability to what's being posted or advertised ratio.
Yep.
Is dramatic. Is like literally half of the US and about a third of in Europe. Like, why is it so? Why in Canada is it so low?
I have no idea, really. It started when I first started running resumes 26 years ago, and then moved more into coaching and resume writing, the combined. It was about 11 to 12%. It's steadily come down, but it's steadily coming down in other countries. So advertised jobs, so that includes all the advertised jobs, job boards, all the national newspapers, and then all the corporate websites. So it's a very small minority. I mean, one thing I do question people on when they call me and say, "Oh, I'm not getting a job," blah blah blah. And I've been on career transition for 9 months. I say, "Well, tell me how you're doing your job search." And they say, "Well, what do you use every day?" Well, I use LinkedIn, I use Aluta, I use Indeed, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask a leading question. They say, "Yeah, that's it." I say, "Well, what do you think they account for of the overall 100%? And they say, 80%. I said, you better be sitting down.
It's quite the reverse.
Yeah, get sat down first, because I'm going to have a wake-up call for you. And some people are like astounded. And you watch my messaging on social media.
Yeah.
So I broadcast that often. But so even some people who are connected with me, and I'm very well connected on all platforms, extremely well connected, they still don't understand it, or they haven't read it. They haven't digested it, because they see no need for it. They don't think they're going to be, they're blasé. They don't think they're going to be laid off, terminated, canned, or dismissed, or whatever you want to call it. There's various terms. But yeah, every job today is temporary. There's no full-time job.
No.
You can be disposed of immediately. And people in February, March, and April.
You know what? You're so right, Martin, because on March 23rd of 2020, and we'll all remember lots of dates in 2020,
right,
when we literally had to turn the lights off in the dealership and could not go back in.
Right.
Oh my God, that was scary. I'm like, what? We have to go home. We have to close the business. And leave it behind and go home.
Yep.
And do nothing. You can't do anything about it. No. And it's almost like our lives were not our own. We were not in control suddenly of all the things we took for granted, like getting up and going to work every day.
The world has changed. And your products, you can't sell them online, because people want to touch and feel them, and they want to drive them, test drive them. Yeah. So it's a bit different from other. Yeah, it's tough. And
you can only do so much online. I mean, there is limited sales online, but at the end of the day, it's proof that people want to test drive cars and they want to come and touch and feel. Because the minute we reopened early May or mid-May, we were like inundated with deals. And we went on to actually have the best June we ever had as a result.
That's good.
So definitely point taken. So what I took from your last explanation there and about the ratios of job posts versus applications is people shouldn't depend on the electronic medium or the sites or for people to be called. You need to get up off your butt, frankly, and start knocking on doors, networking, making calls yourself, right? You can't play the sit and wait game, frankly.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, my philosophy is the day you land your next job is the day to start your next job search. Now, that's very tough, and people can't accept that. But you know what? Several of my clients have accepted it because they've been in that situation. So you need to network and build your LinkedIn profile. This is people can't get a hold of this. You need to still manage your career while you're gainfully employed, because those, and I can see it all the time, those that manage their careers while they're gainfully employed, then when they are terminated, let go, whatever, laid off, they pick up the pieces very, very quickly.
Very quickly, yeah.
Yeah, and they should always have their resume updated. So, we're always creating those success stories, and you can just add to them or just keep them in a brag book at home. And then, when you're ready to update your resume, it'd be like that rather than voluminous amount of hours. I mean, and
they're able to pick up their pieces because they're connected, they are engaged, and they're networking, and they're always learning and, commenting and engaging with others. So you're easily identifiable and you stand out more with that type of approach. So we're talking about some of the differentiating factors during the application process and so on. And it's easy for a lot of candidates to fall back on corporate jargon. So let's say now you're in an interview, right?
Sure. Right.
And you alluded to the HR specialist or the engineer, and they're going into an interview and they're using all the corporate jargon, all the big words. How should you balance the corporate jargon versus just being creative and being unique in an interview?
Well, everybody's unique, and I try and get that over to people. Everybody has a unique promise of value. That's part of their personal brand. But yeah, they should, sprinkle their corporate jargon, their acronyms, or whatever within the body of that email interview. Sorry, but people also get an interview is a scary thing. People still get scared, but basically, I boil it down to. An interview is a meeting of the minds. It's a conversation between two people or maybe a group of people to see whether you're a fit. And cultural fit today is very, very important. What happens around the water cooler if we ever get back to that water cooler? But a fit is very, very important. And then interview is a meeting of the minds. Just to see if you're the fit, you're the one. So don't get. I know people get flustered and whatever, but think about it just as a dialogue, a conversation between a group of people or two people, and those interviews can go for anything from 45 minutes to an hour and a half normally, and they can be some of the interviews you can go to. Sadly, 8 or 9 interviews. Yeah. And that, of course, the logistics for that is
and increasingly in interviews, you're actually being vetted by even peers, right? Not just superiors.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And many people within a company, because like you're saying, it's more about a cultural fit rather than, as much as it might be, or more so than your actual designations or qualifications. Because if there's no fit, you could have all the qualifications in the world.
Yeah.
And there's going to be huge issues. So with that said, Martin, what is the big picture here that you're painting when it comes to marketing one's self in the 21st century?
If I can leave the viewers with nothing else but this, manage your career right now. Your employer never manages your career. You can say they do. But you know what? You're just a dollar value, a euro value, a pound value on their balance sheet. So when they want to downsize, when they want to restructure, and they restructure in good times as well, when they want to go in a different direction, who goes out the door? Who's the most expensive asset? the human resources. So you're out the door. So if you take away nothing else from this podcast, this webcast, please manage your career. So what do? You have an up-to-date resume. Make sure it's that ATS, the applicant tracking system friendly, because it's now read by, sadly, a computer. It's not read by a human being, even at the C-suite level, generally. Mm-hmm. Have an active social media presence. So definitely, you've got to be on LinkedIn. If you aren't on LinkedIn and you're a professional, my take on it professionally is you are committing career suicide. It's that important.
It's that important.
Even Facebook now is becoming such a search engine for talent. And Twitter, if you're in sales and marketing, you've got to be on Twitter. And then network. So have a list of companies you want to go and work for. And why do you want to go and work for them? They maybe have a great product. They may have a service offering. They may have a great culture. They may, doubt it in today's economy, going IPO to the public market. But there's some reasons why you want to go. We all have companies where we would like to work. So start networking in that environment. And then if you want to find out about their corporate culture, here's one tip. Don't go to the hiring authority. Go to through using LinkedIn, connect with other people in that company where you want to go and work, and network with them and ask them all about the culture. Do your research. And then you will be far more prepared, because you will probably know just as much about the corporate culture if you've done your research as the interviewer.
Yeah, and that's so vital today, because if you go into a company, it's either one of two approaches. You're, with the deer in the headlight approach, or so you're totally uncomfortable.
Yep.
Or you're there because you are prepared and you've done some research, you've done some networking, and you're asking intelligent questions of the potential employer. That goes a long way. I mean, it's a totally different conversation. It's
Yep.
When that is the case. So three things, and there's been many tips I've taken from you so far. So we're talking about definitely understand that your interview is really a meeting of the minds. It's not, all, based on statistics and accomplishments. It's about, is there a fit?
Sure.
Is there a cultural fit, et cetera? And second is that your employer should never be the one managing your career or determining whether you get a raise or whether you get a promotion or whatever. You have to take control of managing your career. And thirdly is networking. Networking and researching. If you're going in for an interview or you're thinking about doing that, start networking and learning about the organization, and be prepared. Because I think if you're prepared going in, number one, it says that you've taken the time to do the research and shows that you're interested, right? Yep. And it shows that you're prepared. So interest, preparation, research. I think those are key points for me there, Martin.
Yeah. I use the Boy Scouts motto: be prepared.
Be prepared.
Be prepared for anything. And one thing I just didn't mention, you should also network with it. If you're an aspiring business leader and you're an EMBA, so an Executive Master of Business Administration, which I'm a global expert in, or anybody in the mining sector, you need to network and build relationships with executive recruiters. But don't just build them, retain them. So every 6 months or so, you need to send that executive recruiter you build rapport with when you're in career transition or about to be transitioned, and then build that relationship, and then maintain that relationship. Because like me, an executive recruiter, and I work extensively with executive recruiters, they're my best referrals. And I refer candidates to them, two-way street. They don't just want to know you when you're in career transition. They want to know you when you're having fun. So send them a success story, or how you delivered or made X number of dollars, or streamlined operations, or introduced new systems, or eliminated headcount, or introduced new products, a product launch, or whatever. So maintain those relationships. We're in a relationship age. Failure
Absolutely.
to maintain relationships is not good.
No, that's some huge advice here. So, building relationships, maintaining relationships with executive headhunters or career platforms. Yeah, and I've seen this come full circle with myself as well. I mean, you and I now, I think I've known you now about 8 or 9 years, and you were initially referred to me just after I got on LinkedIn back about 8, 9 years ago by another colleague. And back then, I don't think you were as busy traveling globally, but you were definitely busy. And you helped me to get my resume and my LinkedIn profile, in a certain way, just when I was getting ready to launch my book.
Sure.
And I can certainly see where the structure of my resume and the areas that we focused on, and you've always talked about the networking and and doing things a certain way. I think it just means so much. It makes a total difference between this type of relationship where we can reach out to each other years later.
Sure.
Right. And still share ideas and connect, refer, etc. So this is what it's all about. So you touched on something earlier, Martin, on branding, personal branding.
Yeah.
Where branding this is a buzzword that's thrown around a lot these days, and it's very valid today.
Yep.
And even if you're an entry level coming out of university or college, this broader image will help you to get that coveted position, just like researching and networking about the company. So do you recommend that personal branding and having that speak more than the conventional resume, or are they on par?
Okay, so I'm really passionate about personal branding, very passionate. So a personal brand is basically your unique promise of value. What is so special about Everold? What is so special about Raj? What is so special about Mary? Every one of those people, you and everybody else, is unique. What is your competitive edge? Why should I, if I was in a hiring position, choose you, Raj, Mary, Paul, Michael, whatever? So it's your unique promise of value. It's a compelling sales proposition, your statement, a value add, a competitive edge on why I should engage you. You have to live up to it. Mm-hmm. Don't think of something out of the sky and then not live up to it. And you also have to put that on your websites, on your all your social media. You should also put it on your LinkedIn profile, and definitely your resume and your cover letter. So stick to it, build it, and really market it, and even have it on your personal business card. I'm a great believer. I know we don't give away business cards too much right now, sadly, because we're not meeting people, but business cards still play an important element. And so market your personal brand. It's your unique promise of value, your differentiator, your competitive edge, because you put a bunch of accountants together, they've all got CPAs and maybe other designations, and they all think they're exactly the same, bean counters. But they're not. Every one of those people sitting in the audience when I give presentations to accountants or engineers or anybody else is unique. So think about what is so special about you? Give me a compelling reason why I should call you over the other people, the people you're sitting right next to or socially spaced. Yeah.
This resonates so well. So the takeaway from this question is, what is special about you? So in your personal brand, this is what it needs to display, or it needs to come across anyways. What is special about you and your unique promise of value? That's a pretty neat way of putting it, Martin.
Yeah. So it should be, psychologists tell us that the human mind picks up on 15, 17, or 19 words. So try and keep your personal brand statement into an odd number of words and don't go on infinitum. We want something that's snazzy, catchy, resonating, that we can remember. Same as when you go to networking and people give that, that 1 minute infomercial. We've both been to networking events. And I can remember some, they go on and on. Sorry. But, you keep it snatchy. I want a very quick. Why can I remember you?
Absolutely. So, yeah, no, that's pretty good. So is it too early nowadays where personal branding is an important part of your unique promise of value and your whole value proposition as a candidate to look at to searching for a job? Is it too early to start in college, or is it too late for some people to start?
Oh, no, that's a great question. And I just actually put something on social media yesterday talking about that. You should start managing your career when you're in high school.
Wow.
And then, because so many people, a lot of it's unfortunately parent pressure. Oh, you got to be an accountant because there's plenty of jobs as an accountant. You got to do this because there's plenty of jobs. You know what? Search and where is your passion? Where is your enthusiasm and your excitement? So don't take a degree that is going to be not of use to you when you grow up. So you need to start thinking about that when you're 15, 16, 17 and 18 before going to university. And then you select the university, you select the degree or the college or the further education is very, very important today. Having said that, you know what? We're running short of blue collar workers as well here in Canada and elsewhere in the world. So, I am two of my sons are in blue, well, one of my sons now is in blue collar. And you know what? He has a good career.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I don't think it matters. You're right about that. The government has been heavily focused on blue collar workers.
Sure.
Programs and so on, because there is a shortage and it's such a vital part of the economy.
Exactly.
Churning, whether it be plumbers, whether it be, construction, like you can't build homes. Where are people going to live? Like it's a big deal.
No, we're running short of people.
Absolutely.
Plumbers, everything, framers. Yeah.
So what advice would you give for preparing, resumes today versus 6 months ago?
Oh, yeah. So here again, if you send your resume to one of those jobs online, you are in a far bigger competitive stance than you were 5 or 6 months ago. They may have only got 200 resumes. Now you're going to get 2,500 resumes. So that makes it even more imperative that you have a performance-driven resume. Keep it in Canada, maximum of 3 pages. If you go to 4 pages, you reduce your chances of having it read by 93%. In the US, it's 2 pages. Most other countries in the world, it's you can go to 3 pages at the executive level. But the rule of thumb in resume writing, I mean, I can keep you here busy till breakfast tomorrow morning. But I go by pages. So you do 2 pages or you do 3 pages. You don't do 2.5 or 2 1/3. Just fill the pages and talk about your successes built around. And I think when I was writing your resume, I focused on STAR stories. So situation, task, action, result. How did you achieve those sales statistics or that vehicle volume or this or that? And you need to, because we're going to hire people because they can make the money, save the money, streamline operations, blah, blah, blah. This goes on and on and on. Plus, you need to have the industry-related buzzwords, the buzzwords pertinent to you, that industry and functional related buzzwords. Because if your resume gets fed into an ATS, an applicant tracking system, it's a computer. And they pull it out, it's a database. They pull it out based on buzzwords. And remember, you can never beat a computer, but you can at least try and match it. So an ATS-friendly resume has changed a lot in the last few, definitely since you and I were together. Definitely, your resume will be totally different. But you have to be today. You have to be sharper. You have to be on the ball, and there's no room for an outdated resume.
So
the word objective or profile on your resume. They want to see any shading, any underlines. It's very, very particular.
So on the ball, as I'm listening to you here, means the amount of pages not to be 2.5 or 3/4, but to be 3 full pages in Canada, or 2 full pages.
Yep.
And you're talking about a 93% reduction in them being read if it's 4 pages versus 3 in Canada.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, I got a screen the other day. I had a 20-page resume. 20 pages. It took ages just to come out of my printer. Yeah. So, he's gone instantly, even though you may be the perfect candidate for that particular job. So you got to remember, you're applying for jobs. You may be the perfect candidate for that particular job, but because your resume isn't ATS friendly, you can be counted out of a job where you are 120% of have all the skills and the talents for that particular job. So it's very, very important that you have the up-to-date ATS friendly resume.
So ATS friendly resumes, folks. In the US, you said 2 pages work best, 2 complete pages, not partially complete.
Yeah.
In Canada, 3 complete pages, right? Because your chances are diminished from them being read by the ATS system or at all significantly if they exceed that. And you were talking about using industry-related buzzwords. Talk about the situation, talk about the accomplishments, talk about the results that you've driven in the resumes. So, no, that's very, a lot of great tips. And obviously, I'm learning a lot of stuff right now. And thank goodness I don't think I have to do a resume pretty soon. But if I were doing a resume now, I'd literally would have to call you again because I would not have known a lot of the things that you're sharing with me now. And I'm sure the audience doesn't either. So this is a huge, huge subject right now, and a lot for a lot of people. So when it comes to, I think you had alluded to this earlier, to never stop building on your resume. And you're suggesting even starting, especially now going forward, start building on that resume since high school.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
And then obviously you transition to college or university and so on, and networking. So is there anything that you think is vital that we haven't covered, and we've covered quite a bit, that you would want to share with the audience about their resumes as it comes to, as this episode is about how to sell yourself to employers in this economy that we're in?
Yeah, sure. So you need to have your encompassing in your resume. You need to have your personal brand. You need to have your soft skills. Those are your personal skills, your hard skills, and your accomplishments. The one thing I haven't really touched on is it's a little bit sidebar to resumes, but have a cover letter. So the resume takes you from today backwards, and a cover letter takes you from today forwards. So it's written in the personal pronoun, the word I, my, he, or she. And then there's different types. Depending on the audience you're marketing yourself, there's letter to introduce yourself to executive recruiters, letter in reply to an advert, letter in networking. So hello, Mr. Smith of ABC Company has introduced me to you, thinks I would be an ideal whatever. Next one would be direct mail to a decision maker at that particular company. And then the 5th one is PAIN, P-A-I-N. So even in good times, last year, there were lots of companies experiencing pain. You might have a skill set that can resolve that pain. So cover letters, resumes, and we just need to touch on a LinkedIn profile. So I see so many LinkedIn profiles half completed. A LinkedIn profile is pageless. You can go on and on and on. You can streamline, and it has so many sections. Each section is character sensitive to a certain numbers, and I have a list here actually of all the different numbers in the different sections because I write profiles, LinkedIn profiles, but you need to fill it right out and be active on LinkedIn even when you're gainfully employed, because I'll make you laugh. Just a few times. I've had people who I've known and they got jobs. They could be a client and they didn't listen to me during the coaching session, or they just totally ignored LinkedIn. And then suddenly on LinkedIn, they become active. And I haven't seen them there for about 3 or 4 or 5 years. And so what I do is I pick up the phone and say, "Oh, hi, Joe. You've just been terminated." And it's just a deadly silence at the other end of the phone. How's Big Brother watching you? You know, how do they know? I haven't broadcasted to anybody, and I'm quite ashamed of being laid off. So I say, "Well, I've just seen you on LinkedIn for the first time in 4 or 5 years." Another silence. And they, so, you need to, don't be as active as you were when you're gainfully employed, but so when you're unemployed, but you still need to be active on LinkedIn. It's a tool you can use for a very cheap price. I would suggest you upgrade to the premium version because you get extra bells and whistles. Definitely, if you're in career transition, you need to upgrade to the premium version, but use it. Use it. It's a great tool. Same as Facebook. We all see business pages appearing in Facebook. A lot of corporate Canada, corporate US, corporate UK are now on Facebook, and they use it actually more than LinkedIn.
Wow. That's interesting. I mean, all the different trends in between social media platforms, and, there's continuous shifts, as is this platform that we're on, Zoom, right now. Oh my goodness, who would have known?
Right.
From I think it was 250. Anyways, it went up 100-fold in terms of usage.
Yeah.
Overnight.
Yeah. No, I had shares in Zoom. Oh, yeah.
Exactly. So quite a few takeaways from me so far, and I'll have you summarize and leave the audience with probably 2 or 3 tips before we head out. So there's a lot of caveats here that you've thrown out. So I've taken away. I'm a product, so I'm taking myself to the market so I got to make sure that I look good on my resume. I have to do the research. I have to have my personal brand set up, and personal branding is, as you said, actually, no, the first thing you said was the meeting or the interview is a meeting of the minds.
Sure.
Okay. That's what you said. And third was your employer never manages your career. You have to manage your career.
Exactly.
And by building relationships, with executives and executive recruiters, etc. And
retain those relationships.
And retain those relationships. Yes, that was a key point. Yep. And then the other you spoke about was what is so special about you? Your brand is your personal brand, and your personal brand is about your unique promise of value. Okay, the key phrase, your unique promise of value, is about your personal brand. So, what 3 key tips, or 4 or 2, whatever they are? And I picked up a lot too with those resumes, and I'm pretty sure most of our audience didn't know about the resumes. 3 pages if you're in Canada, 3 complete pages. 2-page complete pages if you're in the United States, to increase significantly your resumes being read, use industry buzzwords, etc. So what are 3 key takeaways that you would leave the audience with tonight as we wrap up this episode on how to market and sell yourself to future employers?
Well, primarily you've got to extinguish everything, all the negatives you have about yourself. And you've got to get into a sales mode and think you are the best person within your particular function, your particular trade, your particular area, and sell yourself. Sales is the driver for everything. I mean, in a recession, by the way, sales is the best function because companies need to make money. So sales is the best profession, but so you need to get into that sales mode. So many people are negative on themselves. They need to twist around, or they need to kick in the butt or whatever, and get their show on the road. And then they need to, after the termination, because a termination, especially when it comes out of the blue, some people are pre-warned, but it came out of the blue for millions in February, March. Mm-hmm. they were shocked. Oh, it never happened to me. I got a good appraisal last month, and I was okay. But no, you're not. Then get that emotion out of the way. Because it's emotion. You've got the anger, you've got the rage of being terminated. Get that out of the way, and then you move on and plan and execute a job search. That is another topic in itself. A job search is a full-time gig. It's not a part-time sitting on the couch. It's a full-time appointment. So the more you put into it, the more effort you put into it, the more will come your way. More effort will come your way. More results. So 12 hours a day. I say people 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. You should be on your job search. Yeah, and then have your resume up to date. So get that mindset, a good sales mindset. Have a resume and have a LinkedIn profile, and be active even when you're gainfully employed. Because a recruiter, even when you're gainfully employed, could say, Everold, I've heard about you and I've got the perfect job for you. Where's your resume? And you say, oh my gosh, I had it done by Martin Buckland 8 years ago. I think I need it updated. So then you're stumbling. They want a resume that afternoon.
Yeah. And you don't have one ready to give.
Yeah. So what does that tell them about your personal brand and the way you manage your career?
Yeah. Huge points, Martin. Certainly a lot of food for thought here. And these are some key points that our audience can implement, can action right now, because there's more of this coming, folks. There's more uncertainty. There is a dramatic shift in the economy, in economies, in the way people do business. And we just have to be ready. And if your resume is not up to date and you're not actively networking, I'm not sure what's going to be happening. Other people, the people that are networking for sure, and are actively, engaged with their personal brand, and will definitely have a lot more opportunities, because that's what you're actually ultimately doing, is creating opportunities for yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
By doing that.
You look after number one. I remember when I first left police training school, my staff sergeant said to me, Buckland, look after number one. You are in charge of yourself. When you go out on those streets of London, UK, you are in charge of yourself. And I built an ebook around that. Look after number one.
Which sounds interesting to read, that's for sure. So, Martin, so how can our listeners find you? For those people who want to update their resume, learn more about how to be better prepared in the times ahead, and starting right now.
Sure. Well, I'd be happy to offer anybody who's listening a free, no obligation resume critique. I will give you 20 minutes of my time, but I warn you, I say it as it is, because like anything, you only get one kick of the can. It's first impressions. So there's a free resume, or if you're in Europe, it's called a CV. So free resume CV critique. I'll go through it from top to bottom. You can email it to me, Martin, Martin, at aneliteresume.com. So ANELITERESUME.com. So aneliteresume.com. That's my corporate website. I have other websites as well. But the best thing is to send me a message via LinkedIn as well. I call myself a self-proclaimed LinkedIn junkie. So I'm always on LinkedIn.
I've seen you on there at 5 a.m. and all the way till late at night. Yes.
Yeah. So I have following. Like if I miss a post today, people wonder what is that? Is he in hospital or whatever? So so send me a message on LinkedIn or send me an email, and I'll be thrilled to give you a free, no obligation resume critique. But I do say it as it is, because one mistake in a resume and you're gone. And I'll give you a LinkedIn audit as well. So because there again, it's first impressions count. And recruiters right now, as we speak, even in today's world, are looking for talent right this minute. And one of the platforms they use is LinkedIn. And if you don't have a fully complete LinkedIn page, all the way down to the bottom. You're going to miss out on that project that executive recruiter has, and he may be the perfect candidate for you, maybe the perfect job for you.
Wow. Don't miss out, folks. Well, we want to hear your feedback, folks. And there's been so much here that Martin has shared with us, and he's indeed a global career expert. He helped me with my resume about 8-9 years ago. And then from there, I used it to update a lot of my LinkedIn. And but the LinkedIn has evolved because I have evolved. And that's what a career path is about evolution. It's not about just sticking where that resume is or was from 8 years ago. So it's constantly updating, constantly networking, and evolving yourself as an individual so that you are marketable and you are evolving your personal brand. And we've taken a lot of that tonight from Martin. So many great tips that we're going to share when we edit and publish this episode on the podcast side, as well as when we put it over to YouTube. We'll have a lot of this information in there, and also how to get a hold of Martin, because you definitely want to take advantage of him having a look at your resume or these free sessions that he's offering tonight. So we always enjoy hearing from you. So if you have questions, feedback, please send them to insider@thereidmethod.com. And please subscribe to iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcast from. And our YouTube channel, or one of them, just go to Everold Reid, the YouTube channel. We are now nicely editing and uploading the podcast there as well. So you can catch them there, all branded and edited. And we have had so many great guests on the show. Les Brown so many times, and Mr. Martin Buckland here for the second time. And a couple of times ago, we had Evan Carmichael on, and we have Steve Benson coming back again next week as we continue another series of shows on how to market and position our sales reps in this economic time. So it's very important. So always, I say to you folks, be thoughtful, be intentional, and be safe. And any last words, Martin?
Please manage your career. You're doing everybody a favor, everybody around you, your family, your friends, because you take your career home, and it manages it generates money to look after your family and have fun. Without managing your career, you won't have the excitement, the engagement, and the finances to go with that.
Yeah, you'll certainly have limitations. And as Martin said earlier, you have to look after number one.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, folks, this has been the Reid Method Insider Podcast, episode 73. And we're Martin Buckland here, of Elite Resumes. A world-renowned career expert, just shared his insights on how to market and sell yourself to future employers, and just so many key caveats. I encourage you to take some notes and contact Martin. He's offering a free 20-minute resume critique session, so definitely reach out to him. So thank you very much for joining us, folks, and good night, and we'll see you soon.